This is the Coach Chev Show, brought to you by the NSU Alumni Association. The Coach Chev Show is hosted by Orry, the Voice Phillips, with DJ Sean Solo and William Captain Morgan of the RiverHawks SportsNest. The show is recorded live at 7 p.m. on Wednesdays at Emery's Grill in downtown Tahlequah. The Coach Chev Show airs Fridays at 6 p.m. on Lakes Country 102.1. The video recording is aired on the Rogue Radio Network YouTube channel on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Please like, follow, and subscribe to the Rogue Radio Network. Now, on to the show.
Recording from Emery's Grill in downtown Tahlequah, this is the Darren Cheverini Show, presented by the NSU Alumni Association. I'm Orry Phillips, the voice of the RiverHawks, and I'm joined by the RiverHawks SportsNest, consisting of DJ Sean Solo and Captain William Morgan. Alongside us is the leader of NSU football, head coach Darren Cheverini. Before we get to our conversation, we'd like to extend a big thank you to the program's presenting sponsor, the NSU Alumni Association. Membership in the NSU Alumni Association is the most visible way to show your Northeastern pride. It's also the only way to enjoy RiverHawks football in the comfort of the Bank First Green and White Room, the exclusive hospitality room at RiverHawk home games. Enjoy free food and live stream RiverHawk action, and Alumni Association members can also enjoy all homecoming activities, including golf and champagne bingo for free. Learn more about membership at nsualumni.com. Northeastern State continued a three-game road trip with a contest this past weekend against William Jewell at Green Stadium. The RiverHawks picked up where they left off on the offensive side of the ball, scoring on just their second play of the day. 57-yard touchdown connection between Donnie Smith and Cam Woods. Here's the call of that play on Saturday's broadcast, Lakes Country 102.1.
Donnie fakes handoff to Ramon now and then throws back out behind the line to Cam on the left side. And Cam, he's got some room. Out to the 30. He might be gone to the 10, the 5, and a Northeastern State touchdown for the fifth straight game. Tight end Cam Woods, the All-American, finds the end zone, and that will quiet the crowd down here at Green Stadium very quickly. RiverHawks already on the board and just their second play of offense.
The homecoming crowd, by the way, at Green Stadium. It would be the first of 4 touchdowns for Donnie, while he was able to strike gold twice with Deuce Roberson and an additional time with Levante Chenault. Jordan Tolbert picked off a Tyler Kubat pass and returned it for a house call, while Marvelous Owens claimed his 6th interception of the year to become just the 3rd player in the program's NCAA era, spanning 1997 to the present day to have 6 picks in a single season. Here's the call of the Owens interception.
Kubat out of the shotgun. 2 receivers short into the formation to the right. Kubat lays one out along the near side. And was that picked off? It's a jump ball, and yes, it's Marvelous Owens. Have you gotten used to that name? 6th interception of the season. The 3rd time in NSU's NCAA era we've had a RiverHawk with 6 picks in a single campaign.
The game would be called about 6 minutes into the 3rd quarter, with the RiverHawks up 35-7 due to lightning in the area. It marks the first time since 2012 the team has won at least 4 games in a season, while it is the first time since 2010 that the team has won 3 of their first 4 on the road. Coach, we only got to play 36 minutes last week, but we looked as good as we have in any 60-minute game all year. What are your thoughts on the big win?
You can just see us playing with a lot of confidence right now, especially offensively. You know, we've been explosive the last couple of weeks, been consistent with our passing game. Donnie's been very efficient getting the ball out on time, and our playmaker's been making a bunch of plays for him. Obviously, Cam Woods has continued to stay hot. Levante's playing really well. Ramon McKinney's playing well. Deuce had a couple of big plays in the game. It was good to see him get going this year.
Yes.
And so, you know, I like where we're at offensively. You can kind of see the development of our offense through from year 1 to year 2 and the growth of our offense. And so I'm also been proud of the defense. I think the defense is playing at a very high level. We've gotten better throughout the year. We're much more sound in a lot of our run fits, which is important to play good run defense. And so I'm pleased with where we're at. We're not where we want to be overall, but we're getting better.
100% now, Sean. Tons of tremendous options to speak about both sides of the ball, but you have to pick one. That's the assignment. Who is Banger Player of the Week?
Well, this week is a back-to-back winner. I've been so impressed with him, during the offseason, seeing him finally in live game action. Last week we should have seen him on SportsCenter with his highlights. But this week's highlight was a touchdown. It was contested. It was a one-arm grab while fending off the defender with the other arm. We always like to compare college players to those in the NFL. And being a Cowboys fan and having George Pickens now, I see a lot of similarities between them both. Great hands, footwork. And if it's a 50-50 ball, my money's on Levante Chenault.
we'll go to William here in a second. He's got the opening question, but I'll say a 50-50 ball with Chenault's more like a 80-20 ball.
Yeah, true.
And it's impressive to watch as well. So, yeah, good pick, Sean. So, Coach, Donnie had a nice tight game last week with the receivers, and as we just saw that call there, Cam Woods pulled in that on the second offensive play of the game, pulled in that 57-yard touchdown against the Cardinals. It really set the tone. So, was there something right there that you saw in that coverage that allowed the scheme to have him to get that catch and just to break off, or was it?
When you run those kind of plays, you're trying to get basically 5 to 10 yards on that kind of play.
Okay.
But when you have really good football players, and Cam has been playing at a high level, Malachi Butler had a great block on that play.
Yes.
And we talked about it in the pregame. I told Malachi, make sure you block his outside shoulder because we're trying to circle the boundary. And so he did a really good job of securing the outside shoulder of the flat defender. And then Levante had a 2-for-1 block. He basically blocked the corner and the safety, and then Cam just had to run. He didn't have to make anybody miss. He just ran down the sideline. So really good execution and really good blocking by the receivers. And so it was obviously an explosive play. And you always it's always good to get on the board in the second play of the game and score a touchdown. So that was fun.
Well, to kind of continue that, your play calling ability has been on full display, this whole year with great success. But I wanted to pick your brain about, without giving too much away, because I know it's been on film a few times, but this play usually ends with Deuce getting behind the safety, down the sideline, and scoring. And now I have my own thoughts on it, but as a play caller, why does that particular play, cause defenses so much trouble?
Well, I mix and match tempo in our offense, and so when we're playing fast and we're tempoing the defense struggles to get the call in. Sometimes defenses have base calls when you tempo on offense, and sometimes defenses wait to get the call in from their defensive play caller. So we caught them in a coverage where they didn't get the call in. The corner was playing man, but the nickel was playing zone, and so they didn't pass it off properly, and that's why Deuce was wide open. He's been open a couple times this year on the same exact play, but again, it goes down to communication and having a plan on defense. So I try to mix and match some tempo, especially after we hit an explosive play on somebody.
Sure. And then, talking about Deuce, having 2 touchdowns, 87 yards. He's been held in check for a couple of weeks, prior to Saturday's game. Now, how important is it for him to kind of get that streak going into this week's game against UCO?
I mean, it's not so much what Deuce is not doing. It's just a matter of that we have a lot of good football players this year, and the ball's getting spread around, with Cam and Levante and Ramon, and you got CJ, and then you got Deuce. And so Deuce has been doing his job. He's blocking really well, and I told Deuce the ball's going to find you eventually, and it found him in this game, and that's just how football works. And he was prepared and he was ready, and when he got his opportunity, he made the most of it. So he made a really nice play on the slant route, and he made a couple guys miss, and that's what good players do. I mean, if you want to score, you got to make a guy miss and go score a touchdown. So that was a good play by Deuce.
So entering this past Saturday, their quarterback Tyler Kubat had a string of really solid games. He's a guy with Division I experience. But we got after him, and we took his arm out of the game. It seemed like from the opening jump, we were on top of him. We were chasing him. He was running for his life as soon as he got the football. What have you seen in terms of the progression of this pass rush in recent weeks? Because we also got a couple sacks on Lincoln. It seems like that's starting to really blossom across the road trip.
Yeah, I think we're starting to develop some pressure packages where we can get to quarterbacks and, change the picture on them on the back end. And so I've been pleased with the progression defensively and obviously getting pressure. That quarterback I thought did a good job. He didn't move very well, but he was very efficient. He knew where he wanted to go with the football. And their head coach is the play caller over there, and he's a veteran guy, so he knows how to scheme and game plan against defenses. So I think what Coach Atwell and Coach Tanavasa are doing, they're developing some pressure packages to give people some different looks and cause some issues. So it was fun to see us get some more sacks, get some more pressures, and then also get some turnovers. Marv got the pick, and then Jordan Tolbert got the pick 6, which was a big play for us as well.
Yeah, and I can't mention how many times, Coach, that we mentioned that Kubat was on his back. I mean, it was just he was getting the pressure, and I mean he was getting, and we had mentioned that in the first quarter, like that's going to wear on him throughout the game, which we didn't get that to finish the game, but it definitely wore on him through that first half and coming into the third quarter. So speaking about the defense, like you just talked about with, Marvelous Owens, he was the captain's pick, which is the captain's catch, and he did not disappoint last week. From this past weekend. As Orry had mentioned, he got his 6th interception this season. So how are you scheming for him in the secondary, like putting him in more high coverage situations? You'd mentioned you'd change up some of the defensive coverage and stuff, but are you using him more broadly, or kind of what are you seeing with your use with him?
The thing with corners, man, and I've been around this game a long time, the good ones just find a way to get their hands on footballs. And so Marv is a natural corner. He's a longer kid. He can play press man. He can play off zone. He's got a good feel for football. He understands route concepts. And so that's just Marv being Marv, in my opinion. Sometimes you can overcoach guys.
Yeah.
And a guy like Marv, you just let him play football and give him some base rules and let him go play. And so he's a natural ball hawk back there.
Yeah. What's some of the things that you've seen him progress through this year that he's really improved on?
His practice habits have gotten better, and that's one thing I challenged Marv. I said, "You're talented, Marv, but you got to practice harder. You got to work your game against good players if you want to play at a high level on Saturdays." And so he's taken that challenge. I've seen him practice harder. I've seen him be more energetic at practice, and it's paying off in the games for him.
Great conversation so far. We only got 36 minutes in Liberty, Missouri, but again, we played as well as we had in any 60 across the year. Up next, we talk about one of the biggest games of the season, President's Cup on the line. We travel to Edmond to take on the Broncos of Central Oklahoma. Conversation on that is next. You're tuned into the Darren Cheverini Show, presented by the NSU Alumni Association. Welcome back to the show. A reminder that during football season, you catch the Darren Cheverini Show presented by the NSU Alumni Association in person and live at Emery's Grill on Wednesdays as part of the NSU Quarterback Club at noon. To learn more about becoming an NSU backer and joining the Quarterback Club, visit GoRiverHawksGo.com. You can also listen on the official radio home of NSU Athletics, Lakes Country 102.1, Friday nights at 6 before Keys football. The show can also be heard on demand from the NSU Athletics website and on Spotify. While this marks the first season that a video production of the show can be watched on demand on YouTube through the Rogue Radio Network channel. We'll continue the conversation, but first we'd like to thank our official radio sponsors for this season. Without their support, the show would not be possible. Tahlequah Family Vision Clinic, Archer Cleaners, Northeastern State University Relations, Chick-fil-A Tahlequah, The Wash Barn, Riverside Liquor, Napoli's Italian Restaurant, The Shockley Group, JT Van Attorney at Law, Rose Rock Coffee, Health First Chiropractic Clinic, Edward Jones Jeremy McClure, and Northeastern State University's College of Extended Learning. Now we reach the biggest matchup of this three-game road trip, as the President's Cup will be on the line for the last time for at least another 24 months as Northeastern State does battle with Central Oklahoma and Edmond. It'll mark the first time we've traveled there since 2022, while we seek to hold President's Cup gold for the first time since 2013. Last year's contest was a close one. RiverHawks dropped a 64-57 decision in what was the highest scoring game in the rivalry's 113-year history. We don't know what the future of the President's Cup game looks like since they're not on the 2026 schedule, and we're still going through that reassessment phase regarding our status as football members in the MIAA. But what's right there ahead of us, Coach? Obviously a big opportunity. Rivalry football under the lights. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, excited for the opportunity to go compete for the President's Cup. Obviously last year disappointed we didn't win that game. Felt like we played really well offensively, just gave up too many explosives on defense and turned it over a little bit too much in the second half on offense. So, now that I've been here for a full year and kind of understand the rivalry and understand what goes into it, our players are excited about the opportunity. They're the defending MIAA champs. They have a good football team, good football program. Their coach does a good job with their team. And so, our guys are excited, but at the end of the day, it's about us and us playing our football and doing what we've been doing the last, 4 to 5 weeks. So excited for the opportunity to play another game.
So it seemed like the Broncos had their backs against the wall a couple weeks ago with a narrow loss to Central Missouri. They were 2-3, right ahead of them. Road matchup against Fort Hays State, and then they host Emporia at home. Probably the best passing attack, at least in terms of scheme in the MIAA. It felt like a legitimate possibility they'd be at least a couple games back of 500, yet they enter this week 2 straight wins like us, 4-3 overall. A key point, Coach, behind recent success is play at quarterback. After a slow start to the year, Jet Huff has had some of his best games as a Bronco recently, including last week throwing over 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. He's got 11 touchdowns through the air against just 1 interception his last 3 games, and he's one of the most athletically gifted quarterbacks in Division II. How do we contain him given his skill set?
He's going to get his yards. That's what those offenses do. Their coach calls the offense. They do a good job with schematics and trying to scheme you up on defense. So, that kid is a good player. He's going to throw for some yards against us. Our job is to make sure that we get to him, get him on the ground, make him get off his first reads, make him, throw, contested balls where the balls get tipped and we can get some turnovers, and then we got to tackle in space. And so, I feel like we match up well with our DBs and with their receivers. I feel like defensively we're much improved from last year than where we are this year. We're much improved on offense where we were from last year. We're a much better team this year overall than we were last year, and they're a good football team. They've had a couple tough losses, but they've won the last couple games. I thought they played their best game against Emporia for sure. And so it should be a great matchup on both sides because we're both 4-3 playing for the President's Cup. Obviously we want to win this game. They want to win this game. So it should be a fun game. I'm excited to get out there and see our guys play because I can see our culture growing. I can see our confidence growing. And we're just a much closer football team this year too. Last year, when you put a program together that quickly, it's hard to mesh and gel as an organization. And this year, we have a lot of guys back. We had some new guys, but they're kind of taking over where the culture is with the old guys of showing them the ropes. And so I feel like we've come a long way in the last 21 months. A long ways. And so I'm excited for this one.
Absolutely. Coach, and I'll say real briefly, you mentioned the improvements on defense. That's something we've seen over the past 3 or 4 weeks. It's been a major improvement. So glad to see that. But on the offense side, we've been rolling at over 36 points a game. So with the combination of both, but I'll go back. What are some of the keys to keeping the momentum going offensively with that 36? You had mentioned they're going to get their points, but we've got to get our points as well. So talk a little bit about that.
We're going to get our points. College football is a scoring game. It's not pro football where it's a little bit different where you're playing field position. College football, you're scoring points. And so we have a talented group. We have a talented quarterback who's very confident. Our offensive line is starting to gel now mid-season. It takes a while for offensive linemen to start because we basically had 5 new starters on offense, especially on the O-line. Kaysen was the only one back, and he played tackle last year. So 5 new starters on the O-line. It takes time for them to play together and gel together, and I feel like we're finally hitting our rhythm. And Donnie's playing as good as any quarterback in Division II college football right now. We've been very explosive offensively because of Ramon and Vontae and Cam and Deuce and Donnie and CJ. We have weapons, and so the key thing to keep it going, we just got to continue to execute at a high level. Our kids are going to play hard. I have no doubt. The way they've played the last couple of weeks, we play very, very hard on offense and defense and special teams. The execution's been really good. We got to keep the execution going.
Well, you talk about our talent on the field, and we've got some new talent this year. How excited are you to call this game on Saturday with the talent we have now on the field compared to last year?
It's, we're 7 games in now, so that was probably a question you asked me week 1, but
right.
Week 8 now, this is our team.
Yeah.
You don't know what kind of football team you got until about week 3 or week 4, and now I kind of know what kind of football team we got. We got a good football team, and so we just got to keep coaching them hard, keep fixing the corrections on the film, and then let them go play. Don't give them paralysis by analysis. Give them a couple of things they can do to help them fix a couple issues, and then let them go play football. And so I think we're doing a good job on both sides of the ball of not overcoaching it either. Let them play.
Well, Coach, I'm sure the teams are real pleased to see the progress this season, as we all have. We've doubled our wins so far this year, thus far. But can you share with the fans, with the fans, I want to hear, what the fans kind of want to hear, with what you've seen in the locker room this year, inside, and how you're dealing with the end of the 3-game road stretch, with the emotions being high for the President's Cup.
Our guys really like each other. We have a team that really, really gels well together. They like being in the locker room. They love celebrating the victories after the wins in the locker room and dancing and doing all those kind of things. And so I see a really good brotherhood developing with our team. We're young. We're still a young team. People don't realize how young we really are. We have a couple older pieces like Levante and Cam, but we're really young in a lot of places. And we're not losing a ton of pieces this year as far as next year goes. And so, I think heading into the President's Cup, these guys, they love playing together. They love competing together. And so I think you're going to see the brotherhood keep getting closer and closer as we keep going down the stretch run here.
Looking forward to this Saturday again under the lights in Edmond. Before we go to break, an announcement that the Green and White Network is going to Edmond for Saturday's game, and we'd love to see you there as well. Join the NSU Alumni Association for a special tailgate event outside Chad Richardson Stadium at 4 p.m. Come get your pregame on with fellow RiverHawks fans and alumni and tailgate with the NSU Alumni Association. Join us for tailgate fare, beverages, and festivities. For Alumni Association members, attendance at the tailgate is free, while it is $10 for non-members, so make sure to join the NSU Alumni Association by visiting nsualumni.com. A reminder that tailgate attendance fees does not include the price of admission for the Saturday night game. Up next, we have the Captain's Catch with Captain Morgan. He'll look at a player he's got his eye on for this week's matchup. We also get final thoughts from the table. It's next on the Darren Cheverini Show, presented by the NSU Alumni Association. We return to the Darren Cheverini Show, presented by the NSU Alumni Association. We have a few more things to get to. First, a reminder that we will be live from Chad Richardson Stadium this Saturday for a 7 p.m. kickoff against Central Oklahoma on Lakes Country 102.1, the official radio home of NSU Athletics. Coverage begins with a countdown to kickoff at 6 p.m. Let's go to Captain William Morgan for his Captain's Catch pick of the week.
All right, Coach. We've already mentioned a couple of players this week on receiving end, but last year, Cam Woods at home against UCO, he had 120 yards and scored a touchdown in 5 straight games entering this game this year. But with last year's success, and then now we've got so many open receivers there, this year, the Captain's Catch, I'm looking at Cam Woods to do what he did last year, to open the game up, to open up to the other receivers as well.
Yeah, we still got 4 games left, and he's already reached his touchdown total from a season ago at 7. Coach Chev, your thoughts on Cam?
I mean, he's playing at a very, very high level. Got off to a slow start to start the season. The first couple games, I was like, man, who is that guy? And then he's really kind of hit his stride, and he's playing at a very, very high level. But he's been training that way in practice. Man, he practices one of the hardest practicing players we got. And I'm not surprised by his success because of how hard he works. And that's what I told him. I said, listen, I know you're not having the success early in the season, but just keep working hard. It's going to come your way, and it has. So I'm proud of him, and I anticipate him to have another big game and have a big finish to the season.
William is one half of the RiverHawks SportsNest. DJ Sean Solo, the other half. The podcast is live Mondays at Emery's Grill at 6 p.m. Before we get to the weekly Alumni Association drawing, I'm excited to share with our audience another sneak preview of this week's episode featuring Northeastern State University President Rodney Hanley and Director of Athletics John Sizemore. Here's a short clip from the opening part of the show, and again, great podcast.
NSU has made concrete steps to take academic, cultural, and financial support to Indigenous students, faculty, and the community. Will you share with us some of those athletically and academically that you've initiated so far, or seen?
About 35% of our student body are Native American, and that's one of the highest percentages of any university in the United States for Native Americans. So we're a leader. We're not a follower in terms of how we reach in our outreach to our Native American communities. We are a national leader. And so we've got a lot going on. The outreach that we have to the Native community is really important. We work almost daily with the Cherokee Nation on how to build our outreach to the members of the Cherokee Nation. And we're seeing those numbers of students that come to Northeastern State University go up, and we're really proud of that.
Again, it was a great podcast, about an hour-long conversation. That's just 1 minute of the entire show. Again, you can listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on the Rogue Radio Network YouTube channel for viewing audience. One final reminder that the most visible way to show your Northeastern pride is through membership with the NSU Alumni Association. Make sure to download the Green and White Network mobile app for alumni and tap the Coach Chev Show tile. Fill out the form to enter to win a $25 Visa gift card while you receive a generous discount offer for Alumni Association membership just for taking the time to fill it out. We'll do our weekly drawing right now. Coach Chev, if you don't mind, pick a name out of the NSU alumni jar. Who's it going to be this week? Is it going to be you?
I don't know. We'll
find out.
Linda Spires.
All right, big congratulations again to our winner for this week, Linda Spires. And make sure, again, to download the Green and White Network mobile app for alumni and tap the Coach Chev Show tile. Fill out the form to enter to win the $25 Visa gift card. Your name will be in the jar next week if you do that. Another great show in the books. Final thoughts before this week's game?
I'm just excited for Saturday. I'm going to be in the booth with the two of you guys, and we've been competing so well, completing games. I can't wait to see what we do on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. This is an exciting time, and it's so close to home. I think we're going to have a lot of the community there coming to this, showing up for this game, rain or shine, either way, however it goes. But real quick, I do have one quick question for you, for Chev. Going into this weekend, is there a message that you're giving to your team to carry on to the field this weekend?
It's just about us, and it's about our culture and about what we're building. You know, we always respect our opponents, and we're going to give them respect, but this is about what we're building here in Tahlequah. And so I just want our team to focus on the things that we can control.
Very good. I like it. Any more final thoughts, Coach? Another big game this week and a huge opportunity for the President's Cup.
Yeah, excited to compete for the President's Cup. Obviously, was disappointed we didn't get it last year, so I'm looking forward to another opportunity to go get it.
Well, I'm looking forward to this weekend. As you guys already mentioned, it will be the first time that all three of us have ever been on the call together for a football game, and I think it's just the second or third time ever. I know we got the Tulsa exhibitions for basketball last year, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Again, 7 p.m. kickoff, 6 p.m. coverage start on Lakes Country 102.1. Until next time, this has been the Darren Cheverini Show presented by the NSU Alumni Association. We'll catch you Saturday in Edmond.